Welcome to Simple Blessings. I'm Lisa and this is Stephanie, and I want to talk to you a little bit about Stephanie's journey and how she is allowing God to lead her life. So I believe that this will be impactful for you because what I've seen happen in her life has been such an amazing journey, and she's just getting started. So the next time you see her, you'll see amazing blessings. So anyway, Steph, I want you to kind of tell everybody a little bit about your journey from last May 6th.
Last May 6th, I was dealing with a medical uncertainty and had to do some testing and whatnot, and it was kind of scary. And Lisa called me out of the blue, and it was refreshing, and it was a welcome phone call, even though I didn't expect it. So she just kind of helped direct me through the crisis that I was having and made it a little bit easier and opened my eyes up to some things that I wasn't seeing myself. And
maybe some things that people really don't talk to you about, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times people are too afraid to talk to other people about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to do that.
It's very,
and you shouldn't be afraid to do that either. But when you do talk to people about Jesus, like, it sets you free.
It's uncomfortable when you're not used to talking about it. It's uncomfortable when you haven't accepted Jesus into your heart and then someone wants to talk to you about it. It's not the norm that you know. So you're afraid someone might make fun of you if you say something the wrong way, or it's scary because you're faced with having to understand yourself, and you're faced with having to learn how to change yourself. And it's terrifying because accountability is huge.
Well, and
it's
learning
huge.
how to trust in something you don't see, right?
Absolutely.
And I think Stephanie can be a testament to this. Is, you know, kind of the journey that she's been doing on her own hasn't exactly been the way that she wanted it to be.
Nope.
But since you have trusted God, you've seen some amazing things happen.
I've been blessed. I have. And
it's not quite perfect yet.
It's not perfect. And you know what?
Yet.
You mess up and you have to get back on track. It's hard. It's not easy. If you're doing complete inventory of yourself, of your past behaviors, of your current behaviors, and how to change it. And it's very challenging.
It's very hard. And forgiveness, I think, is a big key, right?
And it's hard to come by.
It's very hard to do. And it doesn't matter where you are or what circumstance you're in. But like we've been talking, Stephanie and I talk periodically a lot. And I'm just helping her, encouraging her along. And a lot of times our bitterness, myself included, you know, we all have it. And so a lot of times it's from all the past hurts. And then people want to inject their opinion about you. You know, they don't think you will ever be successful, and people want to not see you succeed. But in the meantime, people have done a lot of wrongs. And Stephanie, people have done you a lot of wrong, and you've done them a lot of wrong. It's just this vicious cycle. And so you've decided to step out of that and start doing things a different way. And instead of drinking the poison and expecting someone else to die, you have decided just to forgive and let it go.
There comes a point where it will eat you up from the inside out if you don't. And daily, your anger builds, your resentment builds, contention builds. It's not healthy, and it physically eats you up inside. It will destroy you. And I got tired of being destroyed, and I had to figure out a different way. And it wasn't easy. It's still not easy. It's
no, but you're still willing to get up and try every day.
Yes, absolutely.
You have perseverance. You have grit. A lot of you, I don't know, by looking at Stephanie, if you know what she does for a living. And what she does for a living is nothing short of something very miraculous. Most people may look down on her, may not see her value, but I'm going to tell you something. This girl has lots of value. And the value that she brings a lot to the table. You're probably one of the hardest working women I've ever seen in my life, okay? I would never want to do that job, okay? But I will tell you, it's perseverance. And once she catches on to the perseverance of what's in the Bible and those two things connect, this girl's going to be something that's going to blaze. You're going to just blaze a trail. So if you want to tell a little bit of people about what you do.
I've worked construction since 1997, and I have.
And you're proud of that.
I am very proud of that. When it is a male-dominated field, and it's very, very hard. It's physically demanding. You have to have very thick skin to survive in it, and it's just it's hard work. But
did you pick it because you just wanted to be tough?
No. I wanted.
If you don't mind me interrupting a little bit, Stephanie, because sometimes people have the wrong perception as to why Stephanie picked this job. Like she just wanted to be a bad, like a really strong lady or whatever. I could use some other preferences,
yes.
But anyway, my point is like I think there was a little level of some of the childhood behavior that you had that you felt like you needed to be strong.
I was always a tomboy. I mean, even when I was this big, I was a tomboy, and nothing scared me much. And I was willing. I wanted to make good money. I wanted to have a good paycheck. And at that time, being in construction and being in the trades, you make good money. And it's still true, providing that the work is there. But it was a challenge. It was something that I didn't know anything about, and I knew that if I applied myself, and I knew I was smart. I mean, I always knew I was smart.
This girl is extremely smart, book smart. We're not just talking, you know what I mean, just a little bit smart. We're talking about a 4.0. This girl, if she would have applied herself,
I would
have
been a lawyer or doctor by now.
You could have very much, and she is brilliant. And I have seen her do some pretty brilliant things, and it's very impressive.
Construction allowed me to behave in ways that I probably shouldn't have, but at the time, that's the life that I led. So it was an environment that I was allowed to swear in. It was an environment I was allowed to say cruel things to people because I didn't care. It was the life I was leading at the time. And as I aged and as my career kept going, I think I became a little bit more sensitive to some of the things that were taking place on job sites.
Or maybe being more aware of.
But definitely being more aware. Definitely. Do I have my days? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. I think I deal with them differently now because I know that I can leave a job if I'm not happy or if it's inappropriate behavior or talk or things that I don't want to be around. I know I can leave it and go find another job. But I stayed in it because once I started it, I had to prove myself. And I didn't have to prove myself to just me. I had to prove myself to other people in order to keep that job. And the more I proved myself, the better I got at my job and the longer I stayed in it and became very prideful and very proud of what I was accomplishing that the average woman couldn't. And it was, and I don't know that it fed my ego so much. I think
probably it
just a little bit, maybe.
That's okay.
That's okay. I always had big muscles for a girl, so I was proud, and I kind of felt it was a defense mechanism. I think a lot of working construction, because then I could be really bad and, if someone's nasty to me, I could just right hook them and be done. And
we don't right hook.
We don't.
Girls
but
don't right hook.
Back in those days, we didn't care. Now I'm more apt to have a conversation with somebody versus wanting to respond.
Well, I think what you're learning too is like not have such a rough exterior.
Right.
That you do have that softness, that tenderness, that nurturing. Because Stephanie also is very good at caregiving, and she's very good at loving other people. But what she hasn't learned, and she is learning,
how to love herself,
is how to love yourself. That's right. And the other thing is I think, Steph, you are also learning how to not attack people with your words, that you're starting to realize that it's okay to allow other people to see you be sensitive and loving. And I think before you just wanted everybody to think that you were like, you know.
I felt like I needed to protect myself from everybody. I felt like,
But why is that? Why is that?
I just think it's years of putting myself in positions where I was hurt, where I was disappointed, where things didn't turn out the way that I wanted them to be. And so the best way to protect myself is to put up this defense mechanism. And my defense mechanism was to be a Billy Bad, you know, just to, and to verbally.
Yeah, but that's not something you grew up being, right?
No, but I think a lot of it derived from being scared. Being on your own at 17 years old is a very terrifying thing, and I did it, and it was hard. And I think in order to protect yourself at that young of an age and growing, you know, you're raising yourself as a young adult. You're scared. You're terrified. You don't know anything about life. You don't know anything about anything at 17. You think you do. You think you know everything, but it turns out you don't know anything, and you have to learn it all. And you just try to protect yourself from everyone. And then you forget that not everybody is out to hurt you. Not everybody is out to get from you what they can. And so therefore you don't know how to distinguish who deserves the very best of you and who doesn't.
Well, a lot of times we give ourselves to situations and things that, and sometimes we're trusting because we have a different perspective of things. But I think now that Stephanie has accepted Jesus in her heart and is every day, you know, like her and I talk about, it's a light to your path and a lamp to your feet. Okay. That's what the word is. And a lot of times Stephanie can be a little more hard-headed about different things, but she's willing to learn. And that's, I really have a lot of respect for you, Stephanie, for the person that you are and who you're becoming. And that's really important. She's an amazing mother. And she is a hard worker, and she's smart, and she's loving, and she'd be willing to fight for you, you know. But we need to figure out the right tools that you need to be fighting with. You know, putting on your armor of God and really praying for people and really walking in a different way.
That was the hardest thing ever. The hardest thing ever since May 6th of last year was learning how, no matter how angry I was at somebody or how much I felt I was wronged by somebody, was to pray for them. By far, one of the hardest things you ever have to do, because your first instinct is to, oh, I don't think so. Yeah, we're not going there. We're not doing this. And it's hard to transition from, let me protect myself, to, hey, let me pray for you.
Right, because that part is pride, right? And what praying for someone is humility.
And it makes you, you feel like you have to get soft. And you're like, well, I can't let people see the soft side of me, because if they do, they're going to take advantage of that. And they'll find a weak spot and they'll think I'm weak.
Gosh.
And
I totally believe that, because I have a little bit of that myself, where I just say, look, I'm not going to cry about this. You're not going to see me cry. Because for me, that is a protective measure, because I wasn't able to cry when, you know what I mean, when something was wrong. Like, I mean, yeah, I did do some crying here and there in my life, but I was like, no, I'm not going to cry about this, because this isn't enough to cry about, whatever the circumstances was. Even if you hurt my feelings, I'm not going to cry about this.
My tears came at my most angriest moments, because I didn't know what to do with those emotions. I didn't know where to place them. And I would get so violently angry internally that I didn't know what to do with it. And then it would just come out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. And cruel things would come out. Yeah. And
out of the abundance of the mouth, the heart speaks.
It was bad. And I mean, it's taken me a whole year to just not blurt out what I think of somebody. And
you're still working on that.
Absolutely.
There's some things that we're still working on. And you're willing, you know, the thing is seeing the humility of knowing that you want to improve is a big deal. And I think a lot of people take you for granted or don't really respect you because of the way that you kind of wrestled with people, sort of. and they never really were able to see the real Stephanie. And like Stephanie, we kind of tumble a little bit, but Stephanie knows that I'm looking at her heart, and I want what's best for her. I want to see her being her best self, and having God's very best. And a lot of times she doesn't always want me to tell her that, but
Oh, there's a lot of things.
I'm always right.
There's a lot of things she's always told me that I'm like, oh, no. And then I have to think about it for a while, and then I reflect on it, and I'm like, well, maybe she's right. But I don't want to tell her that she's right, because then that means I was wrong. And I don't want to admit that I'm wrong. I mean, nobody really wants to do that, although we need to.
Right.
I imagine at some point in my life, I'll get to the point where admitting that I was wrong about something won't come with gagging and choking when I'm trying to say it. But for, the past year, I've had to come to terms with the fact that I've been wrong about a lot of things and a lot of people. And maybe I just didn't understand people. And
well, maybe because of the way that you were looking through the lens of your circumstance wasn't with God in your heart, it was with something else in your heart. Does that make sense? Because
yeah, anger, a lot of anger.
Yeah.
A lot of anger.
Anger is, like God doesn't want us to be angry with people.
It's just a derivative of hurt and fear, because you don't know what, you've been hurt, you're scared, you don't know what to do with these emotions. So what I know best is anger. So you know what? I'm gonna come at you. And breaking that habit is the hardest habit. It's super hard, because anger is quick and to the point. If you actually have to talk to somebody and you actually have to share a part of what's going on inside of you, you become vulnerable.
Right.
And then again, it's a weak spot, and you're afraid that somebody's going to take that weak spot and attack you with that. So trusting people is hard.
So you never had a problem with confrontation?
Oh,
like,
no.
We're going to get this handled. But I think the part of confrontation, there's healthy conflict resolution, and then there's
mine was not
unhealthy.
healthy.
So yours wasn't healthy, but she's working on healthy conflict resolution, right? Out of the abundance of the mouth, the heart speaks, right? So I believe that this is a simple blessing that Stephanie has learned in her life. Is just the small things, learning how to love back. And you've really been doing a lot of that.
Learning how to love people when you feel that they don't love you, that's
loving
very
people that are
difficult.
difficult to love.
It's hard.
Right? Like if it were so easy to love everybody, then it wouldn't be anything we had to work on, right? But now we have to work on these things, and these are important. So with that, that is the end of our little segment. But I'm gonna share a couple of other things again with Stephanie that will bless you as well. So I hope that you like this today and this blessed you. And if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing and tuning in to Simple Blessings. Thank you. Whoops. There we go. Did I turn it off?